Monkeypox cases continue to spread around the world. This is News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil. Joining me is Roy. Hello, Roy.
Hello, Neil, and hello, everybody. If you would like to test yourself on the vocabulary around this story, all you need to do is head to our website, bbclearningenglish.com, to take a quiz. But now let's hear more about this story from this BBC News report.
The Chief Medical Advisor to the UK's Health Security Agency, Dr. Susan Hopkins, has told the BBC that more cases of monkeypox are being discovered in Britain every day. So far, at least 20 people have been infected with the virus, which is most common in remote parts of Central and West Africa. Global health authorities have been meeting in Geneva to discuss outbreaks reported in 15 countries in Europe, North America, and Australia.
So, new cases of monkeypox are being discovered in the UK every day. There have now been outbreaks in at least 15 countries around the world. Global authorities are meeting to discuss the outbreak.
Okay, you've been looking at this story across the world's media and you've picked out some really interesting vocabulary. What have you got?
We have ramp up, formidable, and explodes.
Ramp up, formidable, and explodes. Let's take a look at your first headline, please, Roy.
Okay, so our first headline comes from The Guardian, and it reads, UK to announce more monkeypox cases as efforts ramp up to contain outbreak.
Ramp up. Increased level of something dramatically.
Yes, so this is a phrasal verb. Two words. First word R-A-M-P, second word U-P, up. And it is a separable phrasal verb, which means you can ramp something up or ramp up something. And it means increase something sharply.
Now, Roy, it might be useful for remembering this word to look at that first part, ramp, as a noun. A ramp is a structure to help something with wheels go from a lower level to a higher level. For example, a wheelchair or a car.
Yes, so that idea of taking something with wheels from one level to another, from increasing its level, really helps us to understand the idea of ramp up. Now, ramp up basically means increase something suddenly. Now, in terms of the headline, we're talking about ramping up efforts. You can also use it in the working world. For example, if you need to ramp up your work or your effort on a project. And if there is a lack of a product, you can ramp up manufacture.
Are there any alternatives to this word, ramp up?
Yeah, okay, so ramp up is a phrasal verb, which means it's quite informal. Another phrasal verb would be step up. But if you want to get away from phrasal verbs, you could use increase or boost. So you could increase your efforts or boost your efforts. And specifically related to efforts, you could double your efforts.
Okay, let's get a summary. Now, of course, over the last 2 years, we have talked a lot about illnesses spreading around the world. We have plenty of stories about coronavirus. We've got a really interesting one from the vocabulary point of view, haven't we, Roy?
Yes, we do. And all you need to do to watch that is click the link in the description below.
Now it's time for your next headline, please.
Okay, so our next headline comes from The Independent, and it reads, Monkeypox News, live. WHO says world faces formidable challenges from virus as cases near 100. Right, formidable, F-O-R-M-I-D-A-B-L-E, and it basically describes something that causes fear because it is very difficult.
Yes, and we often see this word used in combination with the word challenge, a formidable challenge.
Yeah, so if a challenge is formidable, it's basically saying that it is a very difficult challenge to the point where it scares you or causes fear. Now, synonyms for formidable could be daunting or intimidating, and it can be used to describe challenges or situations that are difficult. Also, for example, it could be used to describe an army. So if it is a formidable force, you're describing a force that is very powerful, an army that is very powerful and scary. You could even use it to describe, for example, a mountain. If there is a formidable mountain, it maybe says that that mountain is very big and scary. So it's often used to talk about things like size, power, and difficulty.
And how about people? Can we describe people as formidable?
Yes, you can. So, for example, if somebody has read a lot about a subject, you could say they have formidable knowledge of a subject. Or in politics, for example, you may have a very powerful opponent, and you could describe that person as a formidable opponent.
Okay, let's have a summary. Talking about fear, we have a program about spiders, don't we, Roy?
Yes, we do. And all you need to do to watch that program is click the link in the description below.
Time now for your next headline.
Okay, so our next headline comes from The Sun, and it reads, Pox spreads. Monkeypox outbreak explodes across Europe as cases in Spain and Italy traced to island festival with 80,000 revelers.
Explodes, increases rapidly.
Yes, so this word is a verb and it is spelled explodes, and it basically means to increase suddenly and quickly.
Now, Roy, usually we hear this word explode in connection with bombs.
Yes. Now, if you think about that idea of a bomb, it very quickly goes from nothing to a very huge event. So we use this idea of explode to talk about a huge increase in the number of things or people. For example, product sales could explode if something gets bought a lot. Or even if, for example, a singer suddenly becomes very popular, you could say they explode in popularity. Another way that we could talk about this, after pandemic restrictions eased, we could say that the number of commuters on trains exploded.
Are there any alternatives, Roy?
Yeah, you could say a sharp rise, sudden increase, or you could use the verb soar.
Okay, let's get a summary. Time now for a recap, please, Roy.
Okay, we had ramp up, increased level of something dramatically. We had formidable, describe something that causes fear because it is difficult. And we had explodes, increases rapidly.
It's really important that you test yourself on the vocabulary you learn, so go to our website at bbclearningenglish.com where you'll find a quiz and lots of other activities to help you improve your English. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye.
Bye.